Roll call, please.
Member Dugan?
Present.
Member Magnolia?
Present.
Okay, so we are here tonight to discuss within our policy manual, section E. So just publicly, I'd like to thank, everybody that was involved with this. Mike Donovan at ISD was, helped a lot with this. The nurses helped out quite a bit, and then obviously Dorothy Presser, who's here with us tonight. So I thought the most efficient way would just be go through Dorothy's changes or Dorothy's suggestions, make sure we're all on board with those, and kind of go from there. So
Okay, and I do have I have questions too. So
okay, we can do that as well.
As we go through.
We can do that as well.
So the first, very often, so since you're both sort of new to this policy work, do you want me to talk a little bit, particularly Tiffany, because Eric, you and I met once
Yeah.
like months ago.
Yeah,
right?
it was a while ago.
A little bit about the process that we've been through so far. Lynn engaged with MASC to do a review of the policy manual. When we do a review of the policy manual, we take the Lynn documents and the MASC reference manual, and we merge the two. And then what we've been doing is going through basically policy by policy and saying, do the policies match? Do we have one that you don't? Do you have one that we don't? Do we both have one, but the wording is very different? And then we sort of make a determination, policy by policy, what happens. So we've done a number of sections already, and now we're on E, which is a little bit complicated because it involves different sort of departments within the district. So we've been waiting for input from different people, and the other thing that's going to be a little bit complicated about E, I think, is that generally we try to encourage districts, and this is the tack that the committee has taken so far, to separate policy from procedure. The rationale is policy is the what and the why. That's the governance part that belongs to the committee. The procedure is really in the hands of the administration. So they may need to change a procedure still within keeping of the policy. And they really should be able to do that without having to come back to the committee to get their approval to change the procedure. So there's quite a number of documents in E that I would actually call procedure and remove from the policy manual. They still would reside someplace. They'd still reside in the procedures manual for ISD or transportation or the nurses manual or something along there. But they don't necessarily belong in policy.
I think you'll find that I have a pretty good grasp on what the difference between policy and procedure is. That's kind of like my nickname on the school committee. This is not a policy, it's a procedure.
Okay, well.
So I'm with the right company to do this.
You are.
Okay, so generally the first policy in any section is sort of what is the goals of the section, kind of. So that's what EA is, the support service goals. So unless there's something you want to change, there were a couple little things that I would tweak. For instance, and sometimes things are, I'm not sure if our merging it caused a typo or something odd.
Right.
But there are places in the policy where committee is not capitalized. It's capitalized some places but not others. I mean, that's a pretty simple, it's almost a Scribner's error type fix. And there was one little wording place where it says the Lynn School Committee looks upon business operations. I would just say views the business operations.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll make those. So I guess, Mary, once we're done with this, who actually types up the new? That would be. Oh, okay. All right.
And are we going to move it after we have all the changes typed up, or do we move prior to typing up? How does that work? Because I know how it's worked in the committee of the whole. When we have a policy subcommittee prior to, like we did this with the dress code, where we basically just stripped it of everything detailed and had a blanket policy statement about the dress code.
Well, I think that depending on how far we get tonight, I think it would be easier if whatever you decide tonight, you bring to the full
Right.
committee on the 8th, and at least get that part
Right.
approved or, voted
Right,
on.
yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking.
So
as
we
well,
need
yeah.
another policy subcommittee on the 8th to bring forward the motion about whatever we decide tonight? Is that?
That's how I
okay.
was envisioning it, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's how I was envisioning it,
Yeah, I'm not, and I'm not sure, I don't remember, actually,
It's
how
been a
things
while.
happened in the
Yeah,
past.
it's been a while, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how I was envisioning
back
it.
at the past ones, because I don't think we actually made a motion at the policy.
No, I
meetings
don't
in the
think
past to
Okay.
accept them. We just went over it and sort of agreed to it.
Okay.
There were motions made, though. I do remember Jared asking for motions and seconds, do you?
I do.
M-
Or you do?
Yeah, not on each policy.
Not on each policy,
No, it's a
No.
combination of what's ever agreed upon tonight.
in the end.
So then,
Yeah.
yes, so then somebody would make a motion
Right.
saying
To recommend
You
those
know,
changes to the,
To the full
EA
committee.
through E whatever,
Right, to the full committee.
and then
right.
recommend them to the full committee.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna look up the past ones.
Sure.
But then, just to make sure that when we have the agenda for the 8th, there's another policy subcommittee scheduled prior to the committee of the whole in order to bring those forward, because we can't bring them forward from this committee if we're not making a motion.
If we make a motion.
If we make a
then
motion, we
can
could.
move forward.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, that's why, I'm gonna look.
Okay.
I'm gonna look them up. I think I
Okay.
should be able to find them right here.
Thanks,
Okay.
Deb, okay,
The one I looked at, we did not make a motion.
okay,
So-
all right. So I guess it depends on how far we get tonight. and-
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So-
So, go ahead. Yeah,
okay,
Dorothy,
you
go
ready?
ahead.
Shall I move on?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, thank you.
So EB is the safety program. So the two versions of the policy match, except for some legal references. My quandary, in my little note, Dorothy solved the question, was that there actually is no 603 CMR 36.
Okay.
So I don't know why we have it as a legal reference, but you don't need to add it.
Okay.
So EBAB is a pest management policy. I did not see a pest management policy in the documents that were sent to us.
Okay.
Generally, I believe that it is, you're required to have a pest management policy. So I would recommend that you adopt
All right.
this.
I'll make sure, okay. So in my packet, I thought I saw a pest manager, but that was the one you recommended?
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
So
thank
when you, in the packet that was sent yesterday, right?
Yes, that's the one I'm referring
yeah,
to, yeah.
At the bottom of each policy,
Mhm.
you'll see something that says source.
Right,
And if it says Lynn, it's yours.
It's
If
ours.
it says MASC, it's ours.
It's
If it
yours.
says one slash the other,
Yep.
Okay.
then they match.
gotcha, thank you.
Yep. So we're okay on that?
Yep.
We're okay with that?
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, EBB was kind of a
Procedures.
quandary. Yeah, there was a lot of
Mhm,
procedures
There was,
in
quite a bit,
the.
yeah.
So if we went through, that was one where I thought somebody should really look at it from here. Because you had EBB,
Mhm.
and then you had EBBA, which is really procedure, right, for the most part. And EBBA-E, which is definitely procedure. So in the end, I think that, the easiest thing to do is probably adopt MASC,
Which is just the
which is just the.
EBB
first-
straight.
EBB straight.
Straight, right.
Yep,
And then those procedures could maybe go with the nurses.
Yeah.
The nurses'
manuals.
procedure
Yeah,
manual.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay.
okay, and then EBC was the same thing. It was, to me, it seemed like it was more at the policy level, rather than, anything that's guidelines is really procedure, right? So things like, where did they go? So things like the EBCB, the fire drills and the disaster guidelines and the bomb threat procedures, all those are really procedure. EBC covers the fact that you need to have those emergency plans in place.
Okay.
And then leaves it to the administration to create the plans and have them.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Yep. It does.
So we're going to take MASC.
And again, essentially for the administration, the plans are here. We're just.
Yeah, you're just
we're
removing them from the
removing them
policy
and-
manual.
Correct. So it's not like they have to reinvent the wheel.
Right,
Right. Okay.
right.
And where would you suggest the procedures live for those? Because I can see, obviously EBCBE, which is fire drill, Lynn Fire Department regulations, would live maybe in a different place than emergency closings.
So, I mean, generally, the superintendent would decide where
Okay.
they lived.
Okay.
Generally, the superintendent's going to say, yes, I know I have to have these plans in place, right? The law says I do.
Right.
And would make sure that they were residing in the right place.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So then EBCA, which actually, why did I have two? Oh, EBCA is guidelines, because I had one without notes and one with notes, so that would go back to whoever made the notes to take care of.
Okay.
And the fire drill, we decided on. The bomb threat procedures had a whole bunch of stuff behind it that would not go into policy manual forms, and how to keep someone on the phone and start a trace and.
Yeah. I saw
Oh,
that.
really?
I saw that. That was interesting.
Sometimes you do not want to tell people what your emergency plans are.
Yeah. That was interesting. I never knew how to do that.
Yeah.
Now I do.
EBCD, where did we get?
That's about using our schoolyards
Yeah.
Yeah.
in case of snow emergencies.
So in that case, that might be something you might actually want to keep at the level of policy.
Right.
This is
Because-
EBCD.
Yeah,
EBCD,
the emergency closing and what schoolyards are open. Is this for emergency parking for?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was
And others,
discussion about
yeah.
revisiting, remember at the last meeting,
Yeah.
someone brought up the parking lot situation?
Yep.
So-
Yep.
Yeah, in other cities that I've done policy reviews in where it's been that, they've kept that policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
At
yeah,
the policy level.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's important for the public too, to
Yeah.
make sure
Yep.
everybody's on the same page there.
So EBCD, we're going to take. So then EBCE, the real EBCE,
The lack of heat.
yeah,
Yeah.
to me, that's not policy.
Okay.
And I would make that be procedure. Let me just take a pause on EC, because this is where,
So the lack of heat, you're saying, would be procedure, what to do if there's, we lose heat in the buildings?
right,
Okay.
right. There are some things where they're procedure, but if it's important for parents and guardians to know, you
Yeah.
would want that in a handbook.
Absolutely.
Right, but not necessarily in policy.
Right,
And
absolutely.
parents and guardians are really probably going to look at a handbook before they think, oh, let me go find the policy manual. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Being a parent, yes.
So I was a little bit confused about EC because I have two versions.
All right, so that's building and ground management, right? Okay. Okay, skip past that.
So I had one, they almost match, except that the second, one version had a much longer second paragraph.
So EC, and the next one's ECA, which is security. But then, right,
But-
ECA dash E.
Yes.
Right. So, no,
Okay.
so I have EC. Then I have this EC. Do you see what I'm talking about?
You have two different ones?
I have two different ones.
That one that I have the note on,
Yeah,
that came from ISD. So they typed up their own version, and their legal department okayed that.
they have their only, ISD is not a school department?
They do handle our buildings.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
There.
So that is something that was typed up by ISD
okay,
and reviewed by their law department, and that's what they sent me.
okay.
As in,
Sorry for the confusion.
No, that's okay.
So Dorothy,
So-
can I just see which one you're looking at right now?
I don't know if you guys have a copy of that.
no, we
so-
don't.
Yeah, I don't think I have that one.
Why don't you give that to me, and I'll go make you
All
some
right,
copies,
thank you, Mary.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I have the one, the original one that was in the original
Yeah.
policy, so,
Yeah.
okay.
So EC dash E,
Right.
those are job descriptions, they don't belong in the policy.
Yeah, I agree. That was my concern with them as well, yeah. Yeah, superintendent duties and, inspection
Yeah.
of custodians' work, right, correct.
So we'll wait till Mary gets back.
Okay.
Back at EC there. The one thing, so the one thing that is in that I don't think anybody would object to changing, is as we've gone through, anytime there's he, she, we've been changing it to
They.
it.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And that does have a he, she, so
Yeah.
nobody's gonna, no legal
I
lawyer's
would
gonna say,
think
wait, you
not.
changed the
Yeah.
content of the
No, no.
policy, right?
I would think not. So I think we'll just, change it all. Just write a note to myself.
Which is, I forget the last policy one that we voted on, that Attorney Gallo did all of those changes to that
He did.
one. Yeah,
Yes, he
so
did. That was, that was
The one about staying in school.
Yeah, and
I-
the students coming from out of country, and yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Placement, all of that stuff. Yeah, that policy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Don't apologize. No, that's fine.
Yeah, it's been. So most of, the last paragraph is just a little bit longer, referring to the, I wonder if chapter 378 of the Acts of 2014 actually now has an MGL.
I didn't bring my MGL book. Darn it. I was looking at it, I was going back and forth, it's just heavy.
What do you need?
Well, I was just.
Massachusetts
it won't be
General
in
Law
the-
book.
Yeah,
I
it
have one
won't,
up in my office. Do you want me to
But-
go get it?
I don't think this one will be in it.
No?
You're thinking about the one we send?
Yes.
Yeah, this
Okay.
wouldn't be in it, because
Okay.
just sometimes we see like the chapter 378 of the Acts of
Acts of
2014,
2014,
and there's a way to look up what they have become,
Okay,
so
okay.
I can try that.
Yeah, sure.
Or you can leave it the way it is.
If we were to leave it the way it is, would that,
Someone would still be able to find what it is.
Someone would be able to find
There's a
it.
way to research what it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know if you want
So I'll see
to-
if I'll make an attempt to see if I can find it.
Okay.
And if not,
All
I'll
right.
leave it the way it is.
Okay.
So this version that the the ISD came up with is just slightly more detailed than the
Yeah.
MASC one. Any critique on that slightly more detailed, or is it,
If they've already had their lawyer
okay,
bless it,
Okay.
I'm not a lawyer.
okay.
I agree.
We
Yeah,
always
I-
say follow the advice of the attorney. So
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
would say use the longer one on that
I
one.
would
Okay.
tend to agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not policy at all, so I'm good with it.
So building and ground security, there was just a couple, You don't, do you have the highlights where
Yep,
there was?
yep.
Yep,
So town should be city, right?
Yep.
yes.
And watchman is changed to security personnel.
Personnel, right.
Every once in a while, you look at these and say, that was written a long time ago.
That's a little outdated, I believe, yeah, yeah. Sounds like an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, that are the job classifications for the steno clerk.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
The ECA-E, we already said, that's a job description. and we
That's the
should
job
check it out.
description one, yep,
Okay.
that's the note I have. Mhm.
So ECAC, there are two versions. There's the Lynn version and the MASC version.
Okay.
And sometimes I wonder why we have this as a separate, like vandalism is separate.
Yeah.
What I've been told is that for insurance and indemnity purposes, if you have vandalism, it's easier to make a claim if you have a policy about it.
Okay.
So, to me, the MASC version covered a little bit more.
Yeah.
It talked about the ability of the superintendent to be authorized to sign a criminal complaint and looking for a reimbursement. So in this one, I think I would suggest taking the MASC
Yeah,
version.
I would agree. I think more is
Also,
in
it
terms of insurance, yeah.
makes Mary's job that I don't know that she wants to do, our Lynn one. The secretary of the school committee shall assist in difficult cases in making collections and shall keep the supervisor of maintenance and the superintendent fully informed of all such details.
Right.
Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Well, now.
Yeah, you
now
have
Yeah,
a
you do.
subclause of
Right.
work about vandalism
Yes.
in
Now
the
you
old
don't.
policy.
Now you
It-
don't need to know
It
that.
seems a strange task to be assigned to you.
Yes, I
Vandalism.
agree with you 100% on that, Tiffany, thank
Yeah.
you.
There's probably a history behind having a policy about spray cans and magic markers,
Yep.
but I would delete it unless you know there's a reason that should stay.
Not one that I know of. I mean, to me, that sounds like vandalism.
Yeah.
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 But not one that I know of. I don't know.
I
Dr. Mark,
I would also add that I think, I don't know when this one was adopted, so I'm not going to, guess an era. But if I had to guess an era, it's when there was the rise of gang activity in the schools. And so it seemed that there was a necessity for a policy just about these particular items. Given the fact that Lynn is now a hub of sort of street art, I think maybe this policy has outlived its usefulness. We are known around the region for our vibrant street murals, of which, many Lynn Public School students have been interns and such.
Yep.
So this maybe has outlived its usefulness.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep. So on the security camera policy, Lynn's was a little bit more detailed, but and prescriptive, but I don't see any reason to change it unless
Okay.
there's something in it that you,
Not that I can see. The only thing I would say is under camera placement, B, number 2, restrooms, changing rooms, private offices. Oh, excluded, excuse me. Okay. Yep, that's the important word I missed, right?
Yep.
Excluded.
so I do see, as I'm glancing at it, I do see a his, heard of at least one to fix, but I can
Yep.
take care of that. Okay.
All right.
So let me make sure that
So I guess under data storage, the emergency planning office, is that Oren's office, Mary? Is that what that would be considered?
I'm sorry, say that again, Eric.
So under data storage, D, number 1, it says all video recordings are stored in the school security and emergency planning office. Would that be Oren's?
Oren's.
That would be Oren, okay.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now I'm a little confused.
That was E ECAF D1.
D1.
Yep, now I'm confused because I'm looking at oh, gotcha, are these the same? These are the same, right? They're just coded differently?
Yeah, I'm looking at
Okay,
the
got
Lynn
it,
one.
got it, got
Yeah,
it, okay.
yeah.
So it's going to be ECAF.
Right, right. So our,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, so I just have one question about this for data storage. It does not reference cloud storage at all.
No, it does not.
It only suggests that there's physical storage, and because most camera recordings now are not physical tapes, do we need anything in here that references cloud storage? Because that's the issue with security.
Yeah.
With regards to any kind of surveillance footage.
Hmm. Secure place. Yeah, I mean, I guess even mentioning the office, if you're in the cloud,
The cloud is
it's a
not
little
the
obs-
office.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's a little obsolete, yeah.
I don't know about our system. If it's analog, that would surprise me.
It would surprise me, but I'm not sure, so I wouldn't want to assume.
I'll be happy to ask Warren that.
Yeah, if we could
Okay.
ask Warren, that would be great.
Yeah,
Mary.
so
Thank
just
you.
so basically D1, but also D3 would change if they are cloud storage.
You wouldn't still consider them to be recordings?
Not for the purposes of securing them, no. Because this is suggesting a physical secure. Cloud storage cannot be physically
Right,
secured.
Right, right.
That's more of a,
Right?
password. We'd
Yeah,
have to
so
have
if you
physical
say
password.
any video recordings used for security purposes in school buildings or grounds are the sole property of the Lynn Public Schools, that's sort of false if they're being hosted somewhere else. So we would need to be able to say something to the effect of their use by the Lynn schools while hosted on a third-party site or something like
Right.
that, because the encryption of them or the access of them, like, we would just need different terminology is all, if they're being stored in cloud storage.
Yeah.
It's come up a number of times with FERPA at the college, so we had to look at our policies around them, specifically because of early college having access to what would be college records and how we store data, et cetera. So we have a server farm that does it, but we had to basically disentangle what our cloud storage was from what our server farm was, so that we would not be.
Right.
I will reach out to Warren.
Yeah, I was going to say,
It's-
it just sounds like we need to speak to Orin and just get some clarification on.
Yeah,
exactly.
and I think we would just basically add or subtract a couple words is all, depending on
yeah,
where it's stored.
Well, I think, if I look at one, you could say all videos will be secured instead of it in a secure place.
Maybe by school security or,
But see, it would add IS as another layer.
Yep, this needs someone with more technical expertise.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think.
agreed.
exactly.
Yeah. I think we really
Okay.
need to just
So
speak to
I'm gonna
Orin and see
put a
where we're at with
hold-
that.
Um,
Agreed.
Put a hold on that one.
But it would just be D1 and D3, right? Does anyone see any other place? Because it wouldn't be placement, signage, use.
No.
And it wouldn't be what we could use it for, right? It's just the storage
storage.
part.
Just the
Yep.
storage.
Okay.
Yep,
So we're hold on ECAF
Yep.
D1. All right.
And 3,
And 3. Thank you.
yeah. Because it's that word property that gets wonky if you're talking about
Yeah.
cloud storage.
Agreed. Okay. All right, so that was the Lynn version. All right.
building and ground maintenance. Huh. See, I did this about 2 years ago. I don't have the little policy with me to serve as a model. There were some gaps in the
Yeah.
policy.
Missing words, third paragraph.
Yeah.
Right, the stars, the
Yeah.
missing words, yeah. Repair and cleaning of school facilities is direct responsibility of, would that be ISD? Because they're in charge of custodial work?
Yeah, they're in charge of our
Yeah.
buildings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Inspectional Services Division.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the very first, every city shall provide. So this looks like a quote from the law,
It does.
rather than a Lynn policy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could put this,
Then it goes on to the third line. It does reference the Lynn School Committee,
yeah.
unless otherwise directed.
Which that happens.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit stuck on that the school committee is supposed to provide fuel and all other things necessary for the comfort of pupils.
Originally,
Yeah.
the job of the school committee was to provide enough wood to keep the schoolhouse warm in the winter. That's the origin of school boards of school boards in the United States. That was their job.
Which is
Hire a teacher
awesome.
and make sure
I
there
don't
was
know that in
fuel in the winter.
2022 it needs to be in our policy manual, though, unless there's something you need to tell us about our job I was really not
So
anticipating.
there is no MASC equivalent to this policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, back to the fuel. I mean, we're looking at warrants, so we're looking at the warrants that pay those bills. So I guess that's the
So
closest thing I can think. Yeah.
so could we take a step back
Yeah.
and say, do we even need this
Do we
policy?
need it? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to pretend to be another member of our committee who's going to say, if we get rid of this, what requires the school committee to vote on all of the buildings? So we have a subcommittee that's buildings and grounds, right? Is this policy the only place that suggests the school committee has the general charge and superintendence of the schools? Just that phrase from the middle of that first paragraph.
Yeah, I believe it is the only one we're looking at in this particular.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's something in a different section.
Mm.
I mean, broadly, in Section A, Foundations and Basic Commitments, it's going to have something along those lines. I have it here, I could look and see if we.
Yeah, if you don't mind, that would be.
Not to impersonate another member of the
Oh,
committee,
yeah,
but that's
but-
what I would see that their objection would be to us eliminating it. My sense would be to just cut it way back if folks.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of the wording is antiquated.
But basically, if we kept the first three paragraphs and just revised the first one and then got rid of the rest, that to me would be a policy statement about the role of the school committee vis-a-vis buildings and grounds maintenance. So imagine it says
So you
every
decided
city.
not to have policy AA, which says, every town shall maintain a sufficient number of schools for the instruction of all children who may legally attend.
So we decided against that.
I think we,
sometime
I mean,
ago.
I have it crossed out, so I don't, these are just my notes.
Yeah,
not-
well, I'm
not
just thinking
what-
if that's the case, then
I
this
could go
is
to my office and get
important.
my- Yeah.
Yeah.
It is important to keep this then. if
What do
that's
you
the
think
case.
about getting rid of a long-term 3 to 5 year program of
I
maintenance?
would get rid of that, because,
From there down, and then just basically
Yep.
revise paragraph 1 a little bit.
So you're just suggesting, excuse me, strike.
so I would say, I would strike the first sentence.
The Lynn
and say-
School, okay.
Yeah, and start with the
Start
Lynn
with the
School
Lynn School
Committee and
Committee.
cross out unless
Okay.
otherwise directed.
Okay.
Shall have general charge and superintendents of the schools, shall keep them in good order, and shall at the expense of the city procure a suitable place for the schools. Period.
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 There we go.
Period.
We can skip the fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Good.
when it is,
All other things necessary for the comfort of the pupils, that's kind of subjective.
it is, and antiquated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Lynn School Committee, general charge of superintendents of schools, shall
And-
keep a good order and shall expense of the city, procure a suitable place for the schools.
And then
Yeah,
the-
I see, yeah.
right.
And then the third paragraph can just, instead of the asterisks, say Inspectional Services Division, and then that covers everything, I think, that would need to be in the policy.
Yep, and then everything else below that is
Yeah,
gone.
so it would basically, starting with a long term, strike all of that out to the numbers.
Yep,
Okay.
And then the asterisks are replaced with Inspectional Services Division,
division, okay.
right? That,
Department.
oh, department, sorry.
Or is it division? Oh, no, no. Inspectional services.
That's why I said ISD.
Now I'm gonna have to look it up.
I think so, because in cities,
Yeah.
I mean, in City Hall, they're all departments.
It's department.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're crossing out the first sentence of the first paragraph. We're
Correct.
starting with the Lynn School Committee, crossing out the phrase unless otherwise directed. And then the rest of the, and then we're stopping at schools,
Correct.
eliminating
Correct.
if there is none on.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Then second paragraph stays, third paragraph stays, except the asterisk is replaced with Inspectional
ISD.
Services Department.
Correct.
And then the rest of the policy's gone.
Correct.
So I guess, just to play devil's advocate a bit, if we do strike the rest of the policy, I just want to make sure we're not on the hook for something with that, you know,
But it's not the job of the school committee to develop work schedules.
yeah.
And it's
Oh,
also,
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm referring to that list. Is it the job of the school committee to make sure those things are done on that list? You know, for example, roof maintenance, we have that
No.
coming up.
No.
that's
Okay.
Inspectional Services Department's job.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. All right. But we do approve those projects.
We do, which is,
Uh.
that second paragraph. The school committee, when it is deemed necessary, initiates requests for renovations and is, in additions to existing buildings.
Okay.
Or
So-
for new buildings, right? So that's what
Yep.
we do.
That's what we do,
We don't
correct.
say, okay, let's review the floor cleaning
Yep.
schedule for every elementary school.
Let's make
That's
sure the windows are washed.
exactly,
Yeah.
Yep.
that enumeration clouds what our actual job is, to
Yep.
my mind.
Gotcha. Okay. Just wanted to make sure we were comfortable with, okay.
This is the stuff I live for, Eric.
I can tell.
So ECC, I would recommend deleting. It looks
Okay.
very procedural to me.
So again, just so we're, public building and grounds, records and reports, so that's ECC.
Yeah.
Okay.
ED, generally, the disposition of surplus material resides in the section on fiscal management, not in this section.
Okay.
Did we do fiscal management already?
Yes, we did. This wasn't the Kevin
That's D,
McHugh's.
yeah, it was D.
So yes, that was
Hang on, let me look back.
So you're recommending that, if it's not already in fiscal management, move it there?
Yes,
Okay.
and I would say that this is very procedural, but
Yes.
Agreed, yeah.
generally the policy, if there is one about disposition, is like about 3 sentences.
Okay.
So I can look. I don't see one. I will, let's see.
I think we should just delete it. Because the policy will reside with the superintendent, I mean, the procedure will reside with the superintendent
Yep.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yep,
Gotcha. Yeah, agreed.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna write a note, delete.
Because generally, right, whenever you have something, there's always like a, do this first, if you can't do this, do that second, if you can't do that.
Yep,
It's, yeah.
Gotcha.
okay. Okay. I really don't think you need a whole policy about univent filters.
Again, that I think is a procedure.
Yep,
Yeah, so strike EDB.
yep,
Again, just that's maintenance and control of materials and equipment.
Yep.
Okay. The focus on univent filters.
It's so funny to think about why someone wanted a policy just on that.
At some point, yeah.
a lot of times there's history.
Yeah.
So EDC, believe it or not, the two versions of the policy match.
Ooh,
So we might just want to keep it as it is.
we do, yeah.
All right.
Do we need to change town departments to city departments?
Oh, that's probably a good idea.
Yep.
In our manual, we have been trying to change, I'll change it to city. We've been trying to change everything to municipal because it
That covers
covers
both.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll change it to city. That
Okay.
fits you guys. So, transportation services is where I am sort of at a loss.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Because I have, like, too much. I have something that you sent.
That came from Dave Heaton
Yeah.
before he passed away.
Okay.
And I believe that's what's in the handbook, but I would have to
Okay.
double check on that.
Because I kept reading elementary students eligible, but I never found where the eligibility was defined.
We did an eligibility, didn't we do this with Charlie? Sorry, Attorney Gallo?
Yeah, I would have to look back on the minutes, but I don't know if transportation was involved in what we did with Attorney Gallo.
No, not transportation, but just talking about.
Eligibility.
Oh,
Eligibility.
okay.
Yeah.
I feel like when we talked, when we did the, who's sort of allowed into the schools, that had something about eligibility in it.
Okay.
For transportation?
But for everything, basically, it was sort of like, what
okay.
constitutes a Lynn Public School student if they're homeless, if they've
It
moved?
did have that,
So
yes.
it
Okay, I couldn't
defined
get out of
eligibility
transportation. Okay.
at some point in that policy, but
Yeah, except that this is specifically eligible for transportation.
Okay.
Yeah.
could it, though, cross-reference eligibility in another section to say all of the students that are deemed eligible in that section would be deemed eligible for transportation in this section? Or does there have to be a separate criteria for eligibility just with regards to transportation?
I think there has to be a separate section of
Okay.
eligibility for transportation, because that, part of that depends on how far they live from the
Right.
school
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and what the law says about when they have to be bused.
okay.
And I believe Attorney Gallo worked with Dave Hegan on this.
So what
might
I'm wondering is if
reach
we
out
should
to
just
Charlie.
if I should just reach out to Charlie
Okay.
and figure out what's what with this set of policies, and we should come back to them?
Okay, so put a hold on
Okay.
transportation?
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
Walkers, yeah, so it's
Yeah.
all of the EE.
It's going to, anything
It's a
that
very
starts with
large
EE.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to actually go down to
Yeah, it's all of EE, right?
all of EE,
Yeah.
down to EEAG.
Mm-hmm.
That's most of our work tonight. Huh.
It's
How
a
about
big
that?
chunk of it.
Well, I think, I've worked with Attorney Gallo in the past on a number of these policies. We've worked really, we've done a lot of good work together, so I'm happy to do that with him.
Okay.
And see what we can figure out.
Yeah, that'd be great, and then we can, yeah, like, put a hold on that and,
So one part of this that I remember looking through the bus rules for drivers, that is procedural, right? That is not policy?
Oh, there's definitely procedure documents in here.
oh,
Okay,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
definitely.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just remember every time I see like 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, E, F, I stop and read that one because it suggests to me
Yep.
that it's sequential and anything sequential is procedural as a
Yep.
general rule.
There is a couple where there's 1, 2, 3, 4 that is sort of what's defined in law,
Okay,
but I'll work with him on that,
Okay,
and we'll come back to you with
with the whole
some
EE,
coherent
yeah.
okay.
some coherent
This is what you're
suggestions.
referring to, right? Bus driver examination and training.
Well, there's a
Yeah.
bunch of them in there, but that was the first one I saw, and then I figured the answer to that would be the answer to
Yep,
all
is-
of these.
Yeah, because, some of them we have, like EEAEA, we just talked about today in our staff meeting, because I kept saying, I'm really tired of having people say, really, tuberculosis? So we revised that one.
Okay.
So,
Which one
Um,
is that one?
EEAEA.
EEAE.
That's, yeah. I believe that's the bus driver examination and training one that we were
Yeah.
just talking about.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I guess, wouldn't that be the company too, that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
sort of
part of
what
it.
that- that's part
Do
of
you
it.
contract for buses?
We do.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Okay. And, there's a lot here about student conduct and drop-offs and stuff that I think is
Yeah.
procedure.
Yep.
So let's skip over all that.
Okay.
Student transportation, though, in private vehicles, we can probably, we can nix it,
Okay.
because the note that I had from somebody was, no, not allowed it.
Yeah, I would think
Yep.
that's not allowed at all.
Yep, used to
Right.
have it, so.
We do.
What
We don't
letter
want
is that, Dorothy?
The EEAG.
G,
Student
Mary.
Transportation. So then, you sent, one of the documents you sent me had writing on it with a big cross out, like, we don't do this. So,
That private vehicles may be permitted to
Yep.
transport
Yeah.
students to or
Yeah.
from school activities that
Yeah.
fall within the academic day.
So I guess and it probably falls within a company, but those smaller companies that have cars rather
Yeah,
than.
that's not
you know,
private
that's not a
vehicle,
private-
though.
that's
Private-
not a
that wouldn't be a
private-
private
This
vehicle.
is,
Okay.
this is a teacher or a parent.
This would be staff or.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, but
Right,
like,
gotcha.
I'll drive the softball team to the game because the bus
Bus
broke
didn't show up.
down.
Yep, exactly.
And that's just not allowed
We
anymore,
can't do
ever.
that.
Right, and that's exactly the circumstance that the policy is meant to address.
Okay.
Yes.
So that would be some of our smaller teams. I think
Yes,
that
but-
happens, you know?
But they're not allowed to
You
do
can't
that.
do that anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could do EEAJ, motor vehicle idling on school grounds. I did not see that you had a policy that covered that.
Okay.
And actually, you should.
We should. All right. So
So
that would
should
be to
added.
adopt that. Okay.
Yep.
Recommendation would be to adopt that. All right. Just gotta. Okay.
So, food allergy policy and protocols, we're going to cross out a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know, some places, we do not have a policy on food allergies. Some places do, so I don't know if you wanted to have a policy, take something that was just the policy statement,
Yeah.
and then cross out everything.
The
Protocols, yeah.
procedures. Yeah.
I would go for that, but let me just reread the policy
Yep.
part.
It looks like it's really just that first paragraph.
So we,
Then
yeah,
These protocols may be adapted for, okay. No, actually, that would probably stay.
so I think we would eliminate that first sentence.
Yeah.
Just basically of the policy statement on life-threatening food allergies.
Okay.
And then we would eliminate from protocols forward.
So what I would do is, instead of saying,
And then,
so I would rename it. I would
Okay.
rename it food allergy policy,
Okay.
or life-threatening food allergy policy. Instead of having the food allergy policy and then underneath policy statement
Yeah.
on.
except I don't think it needs to just be life-threatening. I think we should just have food allergy policy because
Okay.
I think the policy is in place regardless of how severe.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we're
I
going to
agree.
call
We
it the
wouldn't
food
want-
allergy
yeah.
policy.
Yeah,
we
so we
want-
would get rid of everything prior to the Lynn Public Schools recognize.
Yeah. And then do you want the bullets, right? And then everything everything after protocols
Yeah.
is gone.
Those would be procedure, yeah.
Is
Probably.
that what you're thinking?
Yes, that's what
I
I'm
was
thinking.
Yeah, those procedures could go to the nurses.
Can you
yeah.
just give me 1 second, though, to look?
Yep.
Because I'm not sure if we should keep the life-threatening in there,
Okay.
right? Because we want this to apply to kids who would
Everybody.
swell up, just
Yep.
like kids who would die. Both of those are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
So let me just,
Yeah, if we eliminate life-threatening, it would read exposure to allergens for students who have food allergies.
Yes.
Rather than life-threatening food allergies. Which I think works.
Yeah, in fact, the goals say just food allergies, not like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think we just have to eliminate that one life-threatening,
Yep.
and then the rest is okay.
yep,
Yep.
okay, excellent.
Holy moly, is there a lot to get rid of.
I-
There's quite a bit there, yeah.
This section is going to be so much more streamlined.
Yeah. And again, just so
Yeah.
everybody's aware that maybe watching, we're not eliminating the procedures. It would go
No,
to
no, the
yeah, it
procedures
would
will go to the
It
nurses.
would go to the
Yeah,
nurses.
absolutely, but
Because
the
I know that's a
policy.
real concern as being a parent of a child with food allergies, so.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
And everyone who needs to got those revisions, right?
So,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I
I
just,
took notes. Mhm.
okay.
So EFC, I think. Note on that. I think somebody wrote a note, is this even
Well,
current?
I think because of the fact that Massachusetts changed the laws that now the entire city is eligible, it isn't current.
Right, so if you look at the MASC version, I think you want the MASC version here.
We do want the MASC version. So E EFCR becomes the MASC version.
No. This is the MASC version.
Yes, that's what I mean. So
Oh.
we strike the Lynn EFCR and adopt the,
It's
No?
just EFC.
It's just EFC, yeah.
I guess it's because the Lynn one has the R on it. So we're striking the Lynn EFCR in order to adopt
Okay,
EFC.
so there is a Lynn EFC. Then there's a.
Oh, I didn't
This
see
is
the Lynn
MSA,
EFC.
MSAC, yep. MASC, excuse me.
Do you have the Lynn EFC?
I do.
How do I not
Part of
have-
it as
I
well.
just have EFCR.
I don't know.
Okay. That would be why I was so
Okay.
confused.
But I think you are correct. We also do not want the EFC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I just don't have it. Oh, no, it was on the wrong page. There we go.
You
Okay.
have it?
Yeah, I've got
Okay, I was
it.
going to make you a copy, but you
No,
good?
I've got it.
I
So,
shouldn't have double-sided your.
No, it's okay. It was, it just got mixed up with all of the allergy
yeah,
stuff.
there was a lot of
Sorry, that's my,
papers to
it's
go
my
through
fault.
this week, yeah.
Okay, so EFD,
I'm sorry, can we just go back to EFC for just 1 second?
Sure.
Just so we're clear, the MASC version follows the National School Lunch Program. So if for whatever reason the federal money dries up and kids we go back to the way things used to be, this would cover it all.
well, and because it says and other programs that may
Right.
become available.
Okay, great, thank you.
So the meal charge policy is one that came into effect when there were changes in regulation regarding the ability of districts to collect for unpaid meals. And so it follows the guidelines that are in place according to both state and federal law. So I believe you want to have this policy.
Yeah, this all looks pretty standard for what happens in a school.
Do we need anything that references that this policy kicks in or is applicable when there's no citywide free lunch or free meal program? Right, because this, the way that I read this, is that it's in place all the time, but it's not. It's only in
Not
place.
all of it's applicable right now.
Yeah, so can we add a sentence
Sure.
that says something to the effect of, this policy is in place when, I'm not quite sure how to phrase the second part, but basically when, you know, the free and reduced price food services,
So let's look at the second short paragraph and see if we can add a sentence
That's what I was
there.
thinking.
uh-huh,
School committee will provide regular-
so it's where it says the provisions of this policy pertain to regular priced school meals only. I think if we do an and.
Yeah.
And only, oh, no, because we just had only.
And maybe period, this policy.
What if it went in front? Instead of, the provisions of this policy pertain. Should there not be a? That gets a lot of negatives.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think, yeah.
I think we're gonna stick with the period and then add a second sentence.
A sentence,
Say
yeah.
something like, in the presence of free and reduced lunch for the entire city, this policy is no longer applicable, or something like
Yeah.
that.
But would it be free lunch?
What do you mean?
Well, you said if in the, so say what you just said.
I said free and reduced lunch because there is, I think, assuming money problems or whatever, an option that, say, the entire city, rather than having all meals be free, all meals would be reduced. So that, you know, students who are on free lunch would still get free lunch, but then students who are paying would pay a reduced fee. So we'd have to incorporate both the free
Yeah.
and the reduced, because
Except even before that community program was in place, it was called free and reduced
Free and
lunch.
reduced lunch.
So I think we need a better.
oh, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. It's such a unique circumstance, and we don't know how long it's gonna last, you
Yeah.
know?
Nice if it lasted forever.
It would be nice if
Be
it lasted
nice.
forever,
It would be
but.
nice if it lasted forever, but politics change.
How about the provision of this policy pertain to regular price school meals only when there is a charge for school meals?
I think that would work.
Look at that.
Dr. Magnolia, you like that one?
Yes, I do
All right.
indeed.
Thank you, Dorothy.
I like to edit.
I generally do too. I am just not always at my best after 3 PM when it comes to this kind of detail. I know it needs to be there, I just don't always know
Right.
what it needs to say.
Mine is limited to third grade personal narratives, so. Which I'm doing right now.
So, let's see, where's, I lost where we are, okay. Insurance management is only Lynn's policy. If you want to leave it in place, there's no reason to change that.
Okay. So I guess that last sentence, the committee may
Yeah,
also
that's-
authorize and participate in an insurance program for staff members and students. Would that be pertaining to maybe private rentals of the gym or sports, or, I guess I'm a little confused what that would pertain to.
Good question.
Yeah. So I know we have, that wouldn't be, like we have, for example, the Little Leagues use Lynn Tech in the winter for their winter workouts. Would it pertain to that they have to have insurance, or? I don't know. Something along those lines. We were talking about something like this the other night as well.
Yeah, the last sentence makes the other sentences
Not make sense.
not make
Makes
sense.
Yeah.
Can we just strike the last
I was
sentence?
thinking
Yeah.
that too.
And-
We're overthinking it, yeah.
Yep. So that it's really pertaining to the section
Yeah.
Yes.
where you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
property and building and grounds and
Correct.
so forth.
Strike last sentence.
Okay. All right.
That was quick.
Yeah, that's because
Well,
we
because we
skipped
got
all
rid
the
of that entire
transportation policy.
transportation section.
Gave Attorney Gallo a lot of work. Sorry, Attorney
That's,
Gallo.
I'll do pre-work before I
Yeah,
talk to him.
Right.
So we can,
But this is something they just worked on, so I'm sure it's fresh in his memory.
Yeah.
okay, well, I'll
he's-
try to get to it quickly then before it leaves his memory.
Yeah.
I think we need a motion.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, what next steps would be a motion to accept changes we made tonight. I'm not sure how to word.
So,
I was only involved in the last two policy meetings, because Nan did the other one
Okay.
before that.
Okay.
And there were no motions made.
Okay.
And it was never moved forward to the full committee.
Okay.
Now, I haven't been able
Oh,
to check the other ones. Maybe they were gonna wait until you finished everything?
No, because there was a point, do you remember that before the election, I think, we had been through a bunch of sections? And we said, let's bring those to the full committee and get those sections done and in place.
Are you talking about a subcommittee, or are you talking about the full committee?
No, I'm
Because-
talking about the two policy subcommittees that I did were in March and April. We went over sections D and F,
Okay.
and there were no motions made to move them forward to the full committee.
Okay.
I have to go back.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
Deb, this is when Mayor Nicholson was
Correct.
school committee, Mayor
Yes.
Nicholson. Okay.
We were
Okay.
on Zoom.
Okay.
And that was when Dr. Tutwiler and you had decided, let's put a hold on this, we'll get back to it
Yep,
in a little while.
So that would mean, I mean, if that is true, that would mean the full committee hasn't approved
D.
D and F
F.
just
Right.
yet. Okay.
so I think what we did was take the sections that we had been through, this was a while ago now.
Yeah,
And
that's
s-
the
and-
problem.
yeah.
We're talking almost 2 years ago.
It's a while ago.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not,
So
it's
what we
not
would
up
need
here
to
right now.
move would be changes for D, E, and F then.
It seems that way if what
Yeah.
Deb is saying
Yeah.
is true. Yeah.
Knowing that there are more changes coming for E.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say, even though we haven't completed E.
Yeah,
Right.
my tendency would be changes for D and F.
Okay.
And wait until E till you have the
The
entire
transportation
section.
part. Okay. Yeah, I guess we would need to get some clarification on whether or not that actually was moved to the full committee. Yeah.
And
So we're
maybe there was
just-
another section before I even started that wasn't moved to the full
Okay.
committee.
I
I'm not sure of
unfortunately
that.
can't remember.
No,
2
no,
years
no,
ago
no.
right
We
now.
wouldn't expect you
Yeah,
to
it's-
either,
it
Mary.
has
No,
been
that
a
was,
while.
But
that's a
I'll be
lot.
happy to research and go
If we
back to
could-
the
Yeah.
minutes from
Yeah.
2020. It's
Yeah.
actually 2020.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
And see what took place.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah,
Policy
'cause
manual
yeah.
revisions, yeah.
And then maybe,
because when we were looking yesterday, it was December of 2020 when I had
Yeah.
sent this to you.
So-
that was prior to,
Yeah, we want to move
Pandemic,
those
yeah.
to the full committee
I would think so.
and be
I would
done
think
with
so, be
them.
done with
Yeah,
those,
there is
yeah.
one D that I need to talk to Kevin, is that the right name?
For,
There's one policy where he and I were
was
going to
that
talk about
fiscal
some wording.
management?
Yes.
Yes, that would be
Yeah.
Kevin McHugh.
Yeah, there's just one policy that I was going to talk to him about. Actually, the complication is we've made some revisions to section D. Nothing significant.
so our next full committee is December 8th. I guess my suggestion would be have a brief subcommittee meeting. If we need to move DNF at that time, we do it at that time.
So let me ask you a more complicated question.
Okay.
So we recently reviewed our policy reference manual for section D
Okay.
and made some updates.
Okay.
Do you want to see those updates before you?
I think I would. Yeah, I think I
Okay.
would. Yeah, just so I'm
These-
comfortable with.
Yeah, I think if what we could get prior to the subcommittee meeting is the changes that the policy subcommittee made, MASC's suggestion, we might be able to just do this
At that
at
time.
that subcommittee
At that time.
meeting, if there's just a couple of them. If there's a lot of them,
I'd have to go back and,
Yeah,
I'd have
we'd
to go
have
back
to
and look.
do
that's a
something
different
similar to
story.
this.
Yeah.
There's a couple in particular I'm thinking that were, some of them were just like teeny tiny updates that aren't going to be inconsequential.
Okay.
But there's a couple that you might want to look at.
Look closer
Like there's
at.
one on audits, and the old one said, the audits will happen. And the new one delineates the audits that the district is required to have.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's one where I think you probably want it
That's, I would
outlined.
think that's important, yeah, yeah.
I think I'm thinking more of how much discussion would be necessary, like if, Eric and I
Yeah.
both do our homework,
Yep.
then we can, in a reasonable amount of time,
Okay.
flip through
Yeah.
these if it's just okay, we're going to adopt the MASC policy rather than the one that the group worked on.
Yeah.
So you want me to send you the information, the notes from D and F?
Yes.
I can send you D
Yes.
as it now stands
Okay.
with the changes that, I can send you like the red line version
Yep.
of D.
Yep.
And try and see if I can figure out where the ones are that you might want to look at, that there were consequential changes.
Okay.
And then when is your next policy subcommittee
So-
meeting?
Well, that's what we would need to determine. If it's a quick, thing where we would just say, adopt a couple of these changes, I would see not
It
an
would
issue
be
having it
December
prior to
8th.
the 8th.
Yeah.
And then
Full
otherwise,
committee.
it wouldn't be till January 12th.
And then we wouldn't meet till January 12th as a full
We only have
committee.
one meeting in December.
December, yeah.
Because of Christmas vacation.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So if we could get it done before the full committee on December 8th, I think that would be ideal, but if we can't, then
Okay.
we'll
I-
make it work.
Can't be here, I don't think, on the 8th unless
Okay.
someone decides to cancel what they asked me to do.
Okay.
Which is, I can always hope.
Well, I think if you send us the suggestions,
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
between the two
okay.
of us, we can probably, yeah.
And I think
I'll
the
put
the
this-
guideline for me would be anything that can be accomplished in a half an hour and less.
Yeah,
Okay.
And again, both Eric and I do our homework prior to the meeting, so we know kind of, I couldn't keep all this in my brain, so I remember reading through it and, oh, wait, can we go back to that? But if it's something like just looking at the difference between the MASC policy and then what the revision is and saying, let's just adopt the MASC policy, that I think is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
think that's
the
doable.
trick is going to be, well, not the trick, but, so the objective is all these changes get made,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then MASC will start hosting your policy manual. So my responsibility is to make sure that all the documents that I have reflect exactly what has
Okay.
been adopted.
Yeah.
So if you do any changes to what's been adopted, I need to make sure that I know.
Okay.
That's the.
That's
Okay.
fair.
I think the rest of the members also might need a little bit of a refresher, considering
Oh,
this
yeah.
was 2 years ago.
this is a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was some
So-
time ago. Yeah, yeah.
And some of them might not have been there 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
Just
Member
one other
Pena,
member
yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think Mayor Nicholson's maybe input, hopefully, his younger brain than mine,
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
be able to remember some things, yeah,
Okay.
with some help there too, so.
So
Younger
I'm
brain.
going to put this, I put that on my calendar so I can be here if
Okay,
something happens. But
okay.
But you're going to send.
I will send. So
Okay.
let me make a note so I remember.
and
No,
then
that's
I
okay.
will
Okay.
Look back at the
So
minutes as
section
well.
D.
All right.
F is pretty straightforward. There's like 3 or
F is
4
very small.
policies.
F was small, yeah, F
F is
small.
tiny.
Okay,
F is
section
small.
D with changes
Um,
and
So-
updates.
Once E is completed, F is done.
Mm-hmm,
G goes to personnel. And
okay.
as you know, we have an interim.
We do, mm-hmm.
And I don't know if April's been there long enough to review.
Yeah, that would be a lot
There's
to
a
ask.
lot of
Yeah,
policies in
I
G.
think I'd prefer
So
her to.
maybe if we could skip over G and go
Yep.
to H, which is negotiations, then
Three
that would go to
policies.
Howard, which is, there's not,
3 policies in H,
oh, there's only 3?
yeah. In our version of H, there's only 3, I don't know.
There's more than 3 in
Okay,
ours.
okay.
Not many, but
Yeah,
I'm
Uh,
thinking maybe the best thing would be to jump over G.
yeah, I agree. I wouldn't want to put that on April's
Because I-
plate
We
right
did
now.
one of the big ones already. Or, no, or am I just thinking that we did a lot of the discipline policies in J already? Charlie and I
Yes.
worked up, okay,
We skipped to J.
right.
Mhm. So Mary, to your point, H is negotiations.
I thought I brought a copy of it
That's
with me,
okay.
but I didn't, unfortunately. But there may be 8 or 9 policies
so we
in
just-
ours
right.
compared to MASC. So I'm thinking maybe we could skip over G, go to H,
Yeah.
and then Howard could review those.
Take a look at H for us, and then we'll go from there.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds,
Okay,
fair to me.
then I is instruction, so I don't.
It's huge.
that's a
I
big one.
is huge.
So we have a couple of really large
Okay.
Yeah,
sections.
and then K and L are relatively small.
Okay,
And then you're done.
and then we're good. Wow, all right. So H, then we'll try to tackle I and kind of go from there.
And who would take a look at instruction? Is that like,
Would that be curriculum? I see that, I
It
don't.
might be a few people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when they get that big, there may be a section, like J, for instance,
Mhm.
is going to have a section that you want your special education people to look at. It's going to have a section that you want, well, Charlie and I looked at a lot of the discipline ones. It's, because it's students, so it's big,
Yeah.
right? I might be the same. It's going to be mostly curriculum people.
and so probably like each of the heads, like the, social studies curriculum person looks at that, the ELA person looks at it, or is it just the person who's in charge of curriculum on the whole?
On the whole.
Okay.
Right, because there's not specific policies about social studies and
Yeah.
math.
Got it,
and
okay.
So forth.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just trying to understand the kind of process here, being
No,
totally
no,
new
I
at this.
understand. No, I understand, yeah.
No, and it's always easier to sort of have the people who are implementing it sort of look at it before you get it and give a little bit of input about, this is dated,
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't fit anymore, this would be, whatever
Right.
they have to say.
Right, similar to what we just did with
Yeah.
E.
No
yeah.
more references to Watchmen, things like that.
No.
Yep.
So.
There was one in here that was referenced something in 1978.
Yeah, some of it's tough,
A
yeah,
little outdated, yes.
right.
I feel fairly confident that we are going to knock this out.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Policy
I
and
can,
go-go.
I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can see
Yeah,
having this
yeah.
done by the end of the school year.
That would be wonderful. That would be great, so. All right. Seeing no further business then.
I'd like to move to adjourn.
Second. Roll call, please.
Sorry. Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Magnolia?
Yes.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, so you're gonna send D.